Hello, Virgo. It's your turn for your reading. It was weird because I did your reading, and when I got into it, the phone shut off. But yeah, what I was gonna do is read for the first, second, third, and fourth week of April. But before I do that, I'm gonna read the messages to look out for and to prepare for yourself for the month of April. The first one is Isa, stagnation, that which hinders eyes. The winter of the spiritual life has come upon you. You may find yourself trapped in a situation whose importance you cannot recognize effectively. You are powerless to do anything other than to bend or even pass on a long held desire. Try to find out what it is, what you hold, the effect of this situation, and let it go. Enter by and be silent. Because what you see is not necessarily a consequence of your actions and habits, but the circumstances of the time against which you cannot do anything. To yield, show courage and strength. And then the second one is Manness, the self. Remain modest, that which is the right of the oracle. Be in the world, but not from the world. Stay receptive, excuse me, to impulses that come out of the divine in the inner and outer sphere. Seek to live the unusual life in an unusual manner. If you take the self itself ruin and cut through it in the middle, you are going to receive the ruin of joy in its reflection. So there is a fine warning not to be careless. The acrobatically dancing energy of the balances acts here to bring its higher itself. Nothing in the excess. That was the second request that was to be read at the entrance of the divine temple. And then the last rune is called Thursas, I think. Gateway of the location of the non-doing. With the symbol of the gateway, the rune shows that there is work for you, and both inside and outside of yourself. Thursas is a rune of non-doing, therefore the gateway is not to be reached or passed through without contemplation. This rune reinforces your patience. Now is not the time to make decisions. Thursas conversely requires contemplating. Urgent decisions may be regretful later on, probably because you're acting out of weakness. Ouch. So I feel like this month may bring some challenges when it comes to what you need, what versus what you want, and I feel like there's a lot of decisions that need to be made this month. But I just feel like if you persevere, if you try to really go within, because that's what I feel like the runes are asking for this month, is to really go in. Cut through what is truth to you and what needs to be done instead of, being. I feel like you guys have conflict with that, needs versus wants, where you want to do both, maybe. I don't know. That's what I'm feeling. For the first week of April, you got the Five of Swords, you got the Four of Wands, and you got the Two of Pentacles. So I feel like with those cards, it's indicating fives are about changes, but fives, this guy's been in the battle. He's letting down some of his swords, but he's holding back some. So you could be in resistance to change, possibly. You could be trying to figure out what could work better for my relationships, because the Four of Wands has to do with the marriage card, has to do with relationships. So you could be juggling with this card. You're in a transition where you're trying to juggle what works for the collective, possibly. But I just feel like it's easy to get swooped up into the illusion of doing something now, but then not really going within. So I feel like for the first week of April, just try to be careful when it comes to the decisions. Try to be clear on what it is you want, because it looks like you're in a transition of making a decision on something and you're having a hard time with your choices, especially when it comes to, your relationships. And then for the second week of April, you have the Six of Pentacles, Page of Wands, and then King or Knight of Wands. So I feel like when it comes to, giving and taking, or giving and receiving, for say, with people, you have to be willing to finance, or when it comes to your finances, make sure that you're giving just as much as you're receiving, if that's the case with you, maybe in your relationships. Because it looks like with the Page of Wands, you're taking adventure, you're trying to make plans for something, so maybe try to save as much as possible so you can better help, whoever you're working with when it comes to your resources. So just be very mindful of your resources, because you could be saving for a trip or something. And then Knight of Wands. So in and out of energy, you could be dealing with this, or you are this, where you're in and out when it comes to relationships, when it comes to adventures, and you're kind of at a halt with that. You're unsure, because also too, these two guys have wands, so there's a lot of drive, there's a lot of passion, I feel like, for the second week of April. But try to be careful what you're overspending. Maybe you feel in some way depleted with that, because you're trying to plan for something, but I just feel like you need to think smart, and you guys are really good about, planning things, but try to be careful when it comes to your money, I feel like. And then the third week, you got the Ace of Swords in reverse, the Four of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups in reverse. You could be dealing with water signs. I'm not feeling too big on that, but I feel like with the Ace of Swords, maybe you don't have clarity on moving forward on something. Maybe you're in resistance to the truth. In some way, this is the Truth card too, that the universe is sending your way. Maybe things just unclear when it comes to, kind of like what I said, giving and receiving. So maybe in some way you feel like you have to hold back on a situation, or you're holding back when it comes to your finances and giving. Because the Queen of Cups, there's a lot I feel with this card, because recently I heard, a woman was talking about the Queen of Cups. She was talking about, she's not very happy. She's looking at her resources. She's looking at, maybe, is that spilt? That almost looks like jewelry on the bottom. I just feel like try not to be overly emotional, because that's a lot of what the Cups is. Maybe you're overly emotional about a decision that's unclear to you, and you're holding back on it. But I feel like, when it comes to your money, just try to balance it out with that giving and receiving thing. And then the last week of, excuse me, last week of April, you have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, Page of Cups, and then High Priestess. This is really funny, because there's two types of water signs here, because this is the cards of Pisces. So you could have Pisces in your chart. You could be dealing with a Pisces. Usually sometimes opposites attract. But it looks like with the Wheel of Fortune in reverse, you're going in through a transition period. It could be with a water sign. It could be with a Pisces. Page of Cups also is an offer, a small offer be given to you, or you're trying to give to another person, or you're trying to give to this High Priestess. So maybe things are changing when it comes to, whoever you're dealing with. You're trying to fix a mistake, you're trying to fix something. I'm feeling with that Wheel of Fortune. You want things to go in your favor. Maybe with this other water sign, there could have been a fallout, maybe with it being in reverse. There could have been a fallout with these two Pisces signs, or water signs. You're trying to make it right with them. Maybe that's what it's unclear. Like maybe you should hold back, maybe you shouldn't, maybe you're in resistance of the water sign, possibly. I don't know. A lot of decisions. Try to make the right ones, but also to the rune suggesting, don't be too hasty to make a decision. Really think it through. Um, I know patience is very hard, but sometimes we have to be patient with people, patient with ourselves. Don't give too much to others if you don't feel comfortable. Anyways, that's what I feel for you, Virgos. Bye bye.